Good evening. I'm going to read mine for Garrett because Garrett has done so many things that if I just try to talk, I'll forget stuff, and I edited a lot anyway. Garrett came to UMBC as a full Linehan Artist Scholar in theater. His years in the department were marked by both excellent classwork, he graduated magna cum laude, and enthusiastic stage performances. He received the Outstanding Student Award from the department and the then Alumni Award in 1999, then both again in 2000, when he also received the Student Life Service Award. The Student Service Award came in part for his activities as a mentor for Kids on the Hill, a Baltimore organization that fosters relationships between volunteers and underprivileged Baltimore City children. While Garrett was being a stellar theater student and volunteer, he was also earning a certificate in Women's Studies, now Gender and Women's Studies, where he was a student representative to the program's coordinating committee, and where he played a key role in organizing a council of Gender and Women's Studies students. His senior seminar research paper in Gender and Women's Studies melded his two areas together. It was based on his production of Naomi Wallace's play Slaughter City and was published in the UMBC Review. Not only was he one of the few males enrolled in that program, he was also one of its best students, garnering the Alumni Award in Women's Studies in 2000, which was quite a year for Garrett, and the Joanne E. Argensinger Academic Achievement Award in Women's Studies in 2001. And service in the community was never far away. Garrett was awarded an education internship at Center Stage during his last semester at UMBC. At Center Stage, he planned and assisted the implementing of theater workshops for Baltimore's young people. After graduation, Garrett immersed himself in activities that benefited the less fortunate members of our society. Among these, and there were several, were volunteering in New Orleans and San Antonio to organize public and private sector employees in conjunction with the Service Employees International Union. In 2004, Garrett was accepted to the Bolt Hall School of Law at the University of California at Berkeley. He excelled at this prestigious institution, winning the Prosser Award in International Human Rights in 2006, and again immersing himself in community social action activities. Among the many were the following. He worked with the admissions outreach to recruit students of color to Boat Hall. He began a continuing relationship with the National Lawyers Guild to organize events concerning gay rights in the military, U.S. torture practices, and the death penalty. And he was a legal intern at the Tri-Valley Communities Against a Radioactive Environment, where he conducted legal research of a National Environmental Policy Act lawsuit against the Department of Energy, wrote several Freedom of Information Act requests, and created a fact sheet on the health effects of tritium for community distribution. During the summer of 2006, Garrett was named the Ellie Baker Legal Intern at the Center for Constitutional Rights in New York City. He spent his summer conducting legal research on U.S. liability and human rights violations against international law, writing legal memoranda on employment law for the Washington, D.C. Circuit Court, and summarizing deposition testimony for an unlawful arrest suit against an NYPD. In the fall of 2006, he was back at Berkeley, clerking at the East Bay Community Law Center. Here he became more involved in the housing issues that now occupy most of his professional activity. In 2007, Garrett returned to New York, where he holds two positions. The first is as the Bridge Fellow at the Center for Constitutional Rights, where he does research and writes motions for class action litigation against NYPD racial profiling. The second is the staff attorney for the Urban Justice Center Community Development Project, where he provides legal assistance to tenant associations in housing court and provides legal advice to individual tenants on repairs, evictions, and housing matters. And if you go to various websites from this organization, you'll see lots of stories about Garrett, where he has turned out to be the bane of negligent landlords in New York City. Garrett is also presently active in the National Lawyers Guild, which he joined as a student at Berkeley. The Guild was founded in the 1930s as an alternative to the American Bar Association, which at the time refused to admit lawyers of color or of the Jewish faith. Garrett serves on the NLG National Executive Committee, where he is co-chair of the National Anti-Racism Committee. I provide this review not to demonstrate that Garrett is a highly intelligent and hardworking person. What this discourse demonstrates, at least to me, is his consistent empathy with those less fortunate and for those often victimized simply because they are so. Garrett practices his beliefs every day, all the time. He is a good person, doing good and necessary work to make the world a better place for all of us. Democracy doesn't work without constant self-examination and fails if it does not strive to do better for all its citizens. It benefits an institution of UMBC's caliber and aspirations to honor Garrett Wright because his education and service here helped form the beliefs and practices that he lives today. I can think of no better way to honor Garrett and no better way to honor UMBC than to name him Alumni of the Year. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I will try to keep my remarks to 2 minutes, which I should be able to do, as I'm now pretty familiar with judges cutting me off after my allotted time in court. Thank you, Alan, so much for all your remarks. I do want to clarify, I'm not working at the Center for Constitutional Rights currently. I was there in the fall of 2007 and also in the summer of 2006, but it's a wonderful organization, and I'm currently doing my work full-time with the Urban Justice Center. I've been out of the state for about the past 7 years, so unfortunately I haven't been able to come to UMBC as much as I would like to, but one of the great things about UMBC is I feel like every time I've come back here since graduating in 2001, I've always felt very welcome, and I know that this is really my home here in Maryland. I'd like to start off by thanking my wonderful family for all of the support throughout my life, especially my amazing mother Barbara and my fantastic sister Susanna, and also, for all intents and purposes, my brother-in-law, Darren. I'm also saddened that my father, who passed away 4 years ago from brain cancer, can't be here tonight, as I know how proud and delighted he would have been to see me receive this very special award. He and my mother came to each and every single play at UMBC during the time I was here, including the plays that I wasn't in, and they continued to do so for years after I graduated, which I think speaks volumes both to their love of me and also to their love of the brilliant art that the UMBC Theaters Department has been creating for decades. I'd also like to thank Alan Kreisenbeck for nominating me and for his mentorship, and also to thank Wendy Salkind and Dr. Carol McCann for all their mentorship at UMBC. And one last shout out would be to my coworkers at the Urban Justice Center, who I've been working with for the past 4 years. They're an amazing group of people. I couldn't do my work without all the work that they do, and I also wanted to acknowledge that we successfully organized the staff union at Urban Justice Center just with the results coming in last week, and that's something that I'm also very proud to have been involved with. I'm deeply indebted to UMBC for many of the opportunities that it's provided me when I was here as a student, as an artist, and as an activist. My experiences here in the theater and women's studies program allowed me to develop skills that I really needed in order to create art and also to participate in struggles for economic, racial, and gender justice. As a community lawyer, I've learned that effective legal practice often involves effective theatrical storytelling. When, for an example, when the drab and oppressive hallways of New York City Housing Court, where I work a lot, are suddenly filled with dozens of working class tenants of color that are there demanding their rights to be heard, demanding their rights to repairs and to end landlord harassment. What happens in those moments through the organizing work and through the legal work is really, even for a brief time, a transformation of the power dynamics that all too often pervade the halls of housing court, and it is an opportunity really to push the tide against negligent landlords, against the kinds of problems and harassment and abuse of tenants that goes on a daily basis in New York City. And I'm very honored to be able to be working as a legal ally in supporting the communities that are most affected by practices of gentrification and displacement in New York. I'd like to also give my deepest thanks to the faculty, the staff, and the classmates here at UMBC who have taught me so much and prepared me for both a life of the mind and a life of action for social justice. So thank you again. I'm very honored to receive this award.